Good morning, children. And today we will be discussing the chapter fractions, and we need to understand what is a fraction. So in your textbook, the definition for a fraction is given: a fraction indicates equal parts of a whole. So what does this mean, equal parts of a whole? So there is a very good example in your textbook, and in the example it is given that if you have a pizza and if you divide into three equal parts, and one part out of these pizza, in if one part out of these three parts is taken, how will you represent it? So children, suppose if you have a pizza and if you divide into three equal parts, 1, 2, 3. So it has been divided into three equal parts. So if I ask you to represent this part, how will you do it? The definition says that a fraction indicates equal parts of a whole. So this pizza has been divided into three parts. So 1 divided by 3. One part, and the pizza consists of three parts. So 1 divided by 3. If I ask you to represent two parts of the pizza, so if we are taking this part also, then this will be 2 upon 3. And if the pizza is again whole, and if you take all the three parts, then 3 upon 3 will be equal to 1. So what does this mean, children? That if we can take another example, if you have a circle and if you divide this circle into four equal parts, so and if you are talking about a single part, this part only, all these parts are equal, so 1 upon 4. So the pizza was divided into three parts, three equal parts, so it was 1 by 3. But now this circle is divided into four equal parts, so and if I want to represent only a single part of the pizza, that would be 1 upon 4. If I want to represent the half of the pizza, half, so it would be 2 upon 4. If I want to represent the three parts of the pizza, then it would be 3 upon 4. And if I want to represent the whole pizza, then again it would be 4 upon 4 equal to 1. What a fraction represents? It represents equal parts of a whole. Suppose if you have a fraction, suppose 5 upon 8. As you all know, this is your numerator and this is called as your denominator. Okay, and this line is called, children, the line which separates numerator from denominator is called your division line. So children, in the textbook on page number 82, point number 3, a fraction may represent a ratio, that is the number of objects in one group compared with the number of objects in another group. For example, the ratio of girls to boys shown in the figure in the picture is 3:4. So that means, children, there are in the figure in your textbook on page number 82, the figure shows there are three girls standing and four boys are also here. So, and if you want to represent in a form of fraction, so it would be 3 upon 4. And if you want to represent in the form of ratio, then it would be 3:4, children. So what does a fraction represent? A fraction indicate equal parts of a whole. We can take one more example, children. If you have a square and if you divide into four equal parts, and suppose I asked you to represent this part only. So a square is divided into four equal parts. It would be 1 upon 4. If I ask you to represent two equal parts, then it would be 2 upon 4. Now one more example, children. Suppose I have a square and I divide into it only two equal parts, and if I want you to represent this would be 1 upon 2. 1, the whole square is divided into two parts and one part is, and if you want to represent one part, then it would be 1 upon 2. Next topic that we have is equivalent fraction. equivalent fractions. And children, in equivalent fractions, the definition says that two or more fractions having the same value or representing the same part of a whole are called equivalent fractions. So, how will you represent equivalent fractions? So, if a square is divided into two equal parts, this would be 1 upon 2. If a circle is divided into 4 equal parts, and if I asked you to represent two of its parts, then it would be 2 upon 4, and if you simplify this, then it would be 1 upon 2. Now, if you have a square, a rectangle, and if you divide into 6 equal parts, and if I ask you to represent 3 parts, the shaded part, so it would be 3 upon 6, and if you simplify this, it would be 1 upon 2. So equivalent fractions are those fractions on simplification they give you the same value. Like if you have 6 upon 12 or 4 upon 8, and if you simplify them, 6 upon 12 would be 1 upon 2, 4 upon 8, 4 ones are 4, 4 into 2 is 8, so it would be again be 1 upon 2. If you have 8 upon 16, it will again on simplification will give you 1 upon 2. If you have 50 upon 100, again you will have 1 upon 2. So equivalent fractions means two or more fractions having the same value or representing the same part of a whole area are called equivalent fractions. So 6 upon 12 means 1 upon 2, 4 upon 8, 1 upon 2, 8 upon 16, 1 upon 2, 15 upon 100, again 1 upon 2. Fractions 6 upon 12, 4 upon 8, 8 upon 16, 50 upon 100, they are all examples of equivalent fractions. And example 1 says that write 3 equivalent fractions of 3 upon 7. So children, how will you write 3 equivalent fractions of 3 upon 7? This means children, as you know, if you multiply the numerator and denominator with the same number, then there will be no change in the value of the fraction. So this would be 3 upon 6 upon 7 upon 3 into 2 will be 6 and 7 into 2 will be 14, and on simplification it will again give you 3 upon 7. So you have to write 3 equivalent fractions. So if you multiply again the numerator with some other number 3, and you again multiply the denominator with 3, so this will be 9 upon 21. One more example, 3 into 5 upon 7 into 5. So this will be 15 upon 35. So what does this show, children? That if you multiply a fraction, its numerator and denominator with the same number, and you get the result, the value of the fraction will not change on simplification. This is 3 to the 6, 3 sevens are 14, 2 3 the 6, 2 sevens are 14. Again you will get 3 upon 7. So children, what does this mean? If you want to write equivalent fraction, you just simply multiply the numerator and denominator with the same number. Suppose if you have 5 upon 3 or 5 upon 8, and if I asked you to write 3 equivalent fractions for 5 upon 8, simply multiply 5 and 8 with the same number. You just multiply 5 with 5 and 8 also with 5. So this will be 25 upon 40. One more equivalent fraction for 5 upon 8. Just multiply this with 7 and 8 also with 7. So this will be 35 and this will be 56. And the value of 25 upon 40 and 35 upon 56 is no different, they are same. So how? If you simplify this, this will be 5 into 5 25 and this will be 5 8 40. Again this will be 5 upon 8, and if you divide this with 7 5 35, 7 8 is 56. Again you will get 5 upon 8. Children, how will you check the given fractions are equivalent fractions or not? So suppose if you take two fractions a upon b and c upon d. So you have two fractions a upon b and c upon d. A and b can be any two integers and c and b can be any two integers. Okay, so you will check a multiplied by d and c multiplied by b. So this will be AD and this will be BC, and if AD equals to BC, then the fractions are equivalent fractions. Now we will some examples for this. So example, 4 upon 10 and 16 upon 40. So this is a upon b and this is c upon d. So a into d, 4 into 40, this will give you 160, and this is 10 into 16, b into c, 10 into 16, and this will give you 160. So as we can see from here children, AD equals to BC. So yes, this 4 upon 10 and 16 upon 40 are equivalent fractions. Children, that we have 8 upon 9 and 13 upon 15. So how will we check? We will multiply 8 with 15. This will be 120, and we will multiply 9 into 13, 9 into 13, and this will be 117. So in this case AD is not equal to BC. So what does this mean? That 8 upon 9 and 13 upon 15 are not equivalent fractions. We will be discussing the types of fractions. What are the types of fractions that we have? So we know a upon b is a fraction. A is your numerator, b is your denominator. So the first one that we have is like fractions. So what does like fractions means? Like fractions are those fractions, children, which have the same denominator. Suppose if you have 5 upon 8, 7 upon 8, 9 upon 8, 1 upon 8. These are all examples of like fraction. The next type of fraction that we have is unlike fractions. Unlike fractions. And children, in unlike fractions, what happens? They are all having different denominators. So it can be 1 upon 4, 4 upon 5, 7 upon 9, 11 upon 13. So these are examples of unlike fractions. They are having different denominators. Now, the next fraction that we have is proper fractions. And children, for a fraction to be proper, numerator has to be smaller than denominator. That means if you have a fraction a upon b, so this means b has to be greater than a. So 2 upon 3, 5 upon 9, 6 upon 7, 11 upon 13. These are all examples, and here you can see denominator is always greater than the numerator. If the denominator is smaller than numerator, then it becomes a improper fraction. So what is the condition for improper fraction? If a is greater than b, that means 5 upon 2, 7 upon 5, 6 upon 4, and this can also be simplified. On simplification, this will be 3 upon 2. So in all the cases, you can see if the denominator is smaller than numerator, that means numerator is greater than denominator, that it is a improper fraction. And if denominator is greater than numerator, then it is a proper fraction. That we have is mixed fraction, children. And in mixed fraction, children, a mixed fraction consists of a natural number and a fraction and fraction. So how will I write a mixed fraction? In your textbooks, an example has been given: 4 5 upon 7, and 4 is written in the middle. 5 is the numerator, 7 is the denominator, this is the division line, and 4 is written here. So here, children, this is a mixed fraction. And how will you solve this? This basically means 4 plus 5 upon 7. And how will you add them? LCM would be 7, 28, plus 1 into 7, 7 fours are 28, 28 plus 7 1 is 7 plus 5. So this will be 33 upon 7. So what have we done here? We have converted a mixed fraction into a improper fraction. We can look at some more example. Mixed fraction we can consider 2 3 upon 5. So this will be, the simple way to do here is just multiply 2 with 5. So this will be 5 into 2, 10, and add 3. 10 plus 3, 13. 13 upon 5. And you can also check this. 2 plus 3 upon 5. LCM would be 5. 1 into 5, 5 2s are 10. 5 into 1 is 5, 3 into 1, 3. This will be 13 upon 5. So an easier way to do is this. Just multiply 5 into 2, 10. 10 plus 3, 13. And this will be 13 upon 5. So what have we done here? We have converted a mixed fraction into a improper fraction. Why is this improper fraction? Because numerator is greater than the denominator. Into how can we convert a improper fraction into mixed fraction? How can we convert a improper fraction into a mixed fraction, children? So children, let us consider an improper fraction as 25 upon 7. So as you can see here, numerator is greater than the denominator. So children, on dividing 25 from 7, how will you divide this? 25 is divided by 7. 7 multiplied by 3, 21. and the result is 4. So 7 is your divisor, 25 is the dividend, 3 is the quotient, and 4 is the remainder here, children. So how will you do? How will you write this improper fraction into a mixed fraction? So children, simply 7 or the divisor will be your denominator, okay, and the quotient will be the natural number that you are going to write here, and the remainder will be your numerator. And you can check 7 into 3 21, 21 plus 4 is 25 upon 7. Very simple, children. Let's see 1, 2 or 3 examples. Suppose you have 15 upon 7. So children, when you will divide 15 from 7, 7 to 14, and the remainder will be 1. So your denominator is 7, your quotient 2 will be your natural number, and 1, the remainder, will be your numerator. Another example, 30 upon 19. So children, we all know 30 cannot be divided by 19. Well, it can be divided. 30 divided by 19. 19 ones are 19, and the result would be, remainder would be 11. So your denominator will be 19, your mixed fraction would be 1, the natural number would be 1 that you will be writing in the mixed fraction, and your remainder 11 will be your quotient. So 19 into 1 is 19, 19 plus 11 is again 30 upon 19, children. We have is, how will we convert unlike fraction into like fractions? Book on page number 85, example 3. The set of like we need to convert 1 upon 8, comma 2 upon 3, 3 upon 4, 4 upon 5, 7 upon 9, 7 upon 12. So children, how will we convert unlike fractions into like fractions? And we already know what is a like fraction. Fractions which are having the same denominator. So we need to convert the denominator of all these fractions into the same number. So how will we do? Firstly, children, we will find the LCM of all the denominators. And on finding the LCM of the denominators, it is solved in your textbook. So on finding the LCM of the denominators, it will come out to be 360. You can pause the video here and find the LCM of all these denominators. So the LCM is 360. Now what will we do? Here is, we have 1 upon 8 and we need to convert its denominator into 360. So what will we do? We will multiply the numerator and denominator with a number so that the denominator becomes 360, and the same number is also going to be multiplied to the numerator because we don't want the value of the fraction to change. So children, here 1 by 8, and if you multiply 1 by 8 with 45 in the numerator and 45 in the denominator, so 8 into 45 will be 360 and 45 into 1 will be 45 only. So the children question comes here, how do you know from which number you have to multiply this denominator to get the result is 360? It is very simple children, just divide 360 with 8. So 8 4s are 32, the remainder is 4, 8 5s are 40. So you get the number 45, you multiply it with 8, you get it as 360. You multiply the same number to the numerator and this will be 45 upon 360. Now that we have is 2 upon 3, and what do we have to do here? We need to convert the denominator to 360, but how will we know by which number we should multiply the denominator to get the result as 360? Just simply divide 360 with 3, so you will get this as 120. So you multiply 120 in the numerator and 120 in the denominator, so this will be 240 upon 360. That we have is 3 upon 4. So what will you do? First, just divide 360 by 4. So this will be 4 9 36 90. So just multiply numerator with 90 and denominator with 90 and you will get 270 and upon 9 3 is 20, 360 is 7 upon 9, 7 upon 9. So how will you do? Just divide 360 by 9. This will be 40. So you multiply the numerator with 40 and you multiply the denominator with 40 and you will get this as 280 upon 360. So children, if you want to convert, you can do the rest of the following in the same way which I have discussed. So if you want to convert an unlike fraction into a set of like fraction, what will you do? Firstly, you will find the LCM of all the denominators and then you will find a number which you will multiply to the denominator and it will give you the denominator as the LCM, and you will similarly multiply the same number to the numerator. Now the topic representations of fraction on a number line is not going to be in your syllabus, so we'll just simply move to the simplest form of a fraction. So simplest form of fraction, children, how will we do this? So children, this definition says that a fraction is said to be its simplest form when there is no common factor of the denominator and the numerator except 1. So what does this mean, children? Suppose if you have a fraction as 5 upon 10. As you can see, 10 is a multiple of 5. You can simplify it into 1 upon 2. Now you can see the only common factor of 1 and 2 is 1. That means 1 can only be divided by 1 and 2 can also be only divided by 1 only. Here 5 can be divided by 1, 10 can also be divided by 1, but 10 can also be divided by 5. So what do you need to see here? That the numerator and denominator has the factor only 1. Definition is a fraction is said to be its simplest form or lowest form if its numerator and denominator have no common factor except 1. So, some more examples. Suppose you have 15 upon 25. So here children, 15 can also be divided by 1, 25 can also be divided by 1. Okay. But we can see here 15 also divisible by 5 and 25 is also divisible by 5. So we can simplify this. How? 5 3s are 15, 5 5s are 25. So this fraction has become 3 upon 5. Another way to simplify a fraction in its simplest form is by dividing the numerator and the denominator by their HCF. How will we do this? The definition says that a given fraction is expressed in its lowest form by dividing the numerator and denominator by their HCF. So you have an example page number 86, example 4, 27 upon 72. So firstly, you need to find the HCF of 27 and 72. So when you will find the HCF of 21 and 72, it will come out to please find the HCF, pause the video and find the HCF right now. After finding the HCF here, the HCF is 9. You will divide the numerator and denominator by 72. So 27 is divided by 9 and 72 is divided by 9. So this will be 3 and this will be 8. 9 3 is 27, 9 8 is 72. So how can you reduce a fraction to its simplest form? By dividing the numerator and denominator by their HCF. So this was a fraction which is reduced to 3 by 8. Suppose if you have a fraction like this, 19 upon 29. And if I ask you to reduce this, how will you reduce this? As you can see here children, the only common divisor for 19 and 29 is 1. The HCF of 19 and 29 will be 1 only. So this fraction cannot be simplified. So there are two ways by which you can simplify a fraction: by finding the HCF and LCM of the HCF of the numerator and denominator and dividing the numerator and denominator by the HCF, or the fraction can express in its lowest terms by removing or cancelling the common factors in its steps, which I have already told you. That was, suppose if you had 16 upon 20. So 16 upon 20, the common factors for 16 upon 20, 16 can also be divided by 1, it can be also be divided by 2, it can also be divided by 4. Same goes for 20, it can be divided by 1, 2, 4 and 5. So we can start it by dividing with 2. 2 8s are 16 and we'll start it with the very smallest number, not 1 but from 2. So 2 8 16, 2 1 are 2 0, 2 4s are 8, 2 5s are 10. So this has become 4 upon 5. Or you can see one more example children, 42 upon 70. So 42 is divisible by 2 and 70 is also divisible by 2. We will start from the very smallest common factor, not the largest but the smallest. 2 2s are 4, 2 1s are 2, 2 3s are 6, 2 5s are 10. So now they are no more divisible by 2. We can see here 21 is divisible by 3 and 35 is divisible by 5. Okay, so we need to find a common factor. We can see 7 divides 21 and 7 also divides 35. So 7 3s are 21, 7 5s are 35. It has become 3 upon 5. So children, whatever we have discussed, please go through them thoroughly. Try the exercise 5A, or I will discuss the whole exercise. That is not an issue. Please try the questions And please go through the types of fractions, how to convert a mixed fraction into an improper fraction and improper fraction into a mixed fraction. All the conversion representation of fractions on a number line is not in your syllabus, children. Thank you, class.